Newton was the one who found out that everything attracts everything else with a force inversely proportional to the square of the distance. Einstein had a different interpretation of gravity. Space and time are not as rigid as Newton thought. They are distorted near massive objects. And the curvature can be perceived more clearly when dealing with heavy masses. It is this curvature of space-time that gives the effect that we call gravity. Mathematically, the scenario changed as well. Gravity is not a force anymore, but merely the distortion of space-time around the massive object. There are three things involved here. One is the effect of gravity. Another is the idea of space-time. The third involves the idea of curvature. We'll simplify things in the beginning by not talking about gravity and leaving out the time. So in the beginning, we'll just focus on curvature. Now, even that much turns out to be very hard in 3 dimensions. So we'll first reduce the problem to a curved space in 2 dimensions. In order to understand this idea of curved space in 2 dimensions, you need to put yourself in the shoes of a creature that lives in such a space. One of my favorite books that helped me to appreciate dimensions in math and physics and also improved my spatial intuition when navigating high dimensions is Flatland, A Romance in Many Dimensions by Edwin Abbott. Please check out the link in the description. But let me give you a taste of it. Imagine a very weird bug with no eyes who lives on a plane. He can move only on the plane, and he has no way of knowing if there is a whole world outside of the plane. This bug is 2-dimensional. He has no thickness, no height. If you take the sheet of paper where it lives and look at it from the side, you see the bug just as a straight line. You may find yourself having a hard time being empathetic with this being. I mean, what a stupid bug. Why can't it just literally look up and see that his world is actually just a section of a much larger 3-dimensional world? The world where we observe him from above. Or at least he could imagine it, right? Well, actually, we live in a 3-dimensional world, and we usually have no imagination about going out of these 3 dimensions to another direction. I mean, nothing guarantees us that there are no other dimensions out there, other directions beyond the 3 dimensions of space and 1 of time. As far as we know, there are only 4. At least that's what physics tells us. But in the mathematical world, 10, 100, or even infinite dimensions are as real as the 3 dimensions we're used to. Another example of a bug living in 2 dimensions is one that lives on a sphere. He can move around on the surface of the sphere, but just as before, he cannot look up, or down, or out. Also, because up, down, and out do not exist in his 2-dimensional world.
Now we consider a third kind of bug. This is also a bug that lives on a plane, like the first one, but this time with a little caveat. This plane is a disk, with different temperatures at different places. It is cold in the center and heats up gradually as one moves away from it. In other words, with a non-constant scalar field defined on its domain. Also, the bug and any objects in it, including the rulers he uses now, and then to measure distances, are composed of the same material that expands when heated up and contracts when cooled down. Everything is longer in the hot places than it is in the cold places. And everything has the same coefficient of expansion. But we forgot to tell you that these are no ordinary bugs. They're actually very smart, and they want to study geometry. They draw lines, make rulers, and measure lengths. One of the simplest ideas they learned is how to draw straight lines in their respective spaces. A straight line is defined as the shortest distance between 2 points. The first bug makes beautiful straight lines. But what about the bug on the sphere? He draws a straight line as the shortest distance for him between 2 points. It looks like a curve to us because we have the privilege of a 3rd dimension, which is actually an arc of a great circle. But for him, 2 is the maximal number of dimensions that exist. All he actually knows is that if he tries any other path in his world, it's always longer than his straight line. It's just his empirical knowledge. The 3rd bug will also draw straight lines that looked curved to us. The shortest distance between the points A and B is a curve. How come? because when his line curves out toward the warmer parts of his plate, the rulers get longer. They expand, but only from our point of view, of course. And thus it takes fewer sticks laid end to end to get from A to B. For the bug though, the line is perfectly straight. Now let's see what the rest of their geometries look like. Let's assume that all the bugs learn how to make the lines intersect at right angles. Then the first bug, in the normal plane, finds an interesting fact. If he starts at point A and makes a line 100 inches long, then makes a right angle and marks off another 100 inches, then makes another right angle and goes another 100 inches, and then finally makes a third right angle and a fourth line 100 inches long, he ends up right at the starting point. He calls it a postulate in geometry. More specifically, a postulate in his geometry. Let's call this bug Euclidicus. Then, Euclidicus discovers another interesting fact. If he makes a triangle, which has just 3 straight lines connected at the endpoints, the sum of the angles is equal to 180 degrees. Right after that, Euclidicus makes a circle. He started at a fixed point and rushed off on straight lines in many directions. Then he laid out a lot of dots that are all the same distance from that original point.
One day, Euclidicus decides to measure the distance around many of the circles he drew, just out of curiosity. He finds an interesting relation. The distance c around the circle is always the same number times the radius r, approximately 6.283, and so on. In other words, 2 pi, no matter the size of the circle. What about the other bugs? Well, the bug on the sphere tried to make a square, but ran into some technical difficulties. He started at a point A and drew what he calls a straight line in any direction. Then, he turns 90 degrees and makes another straight line with the same length. Continuing this process will not allow him to close the square, ending exactly where he started, at point A. If you do not believe me, get yourself a sphere and try it out.
If you're enjoying this video, don't forget to like it and to subscribe to the channel.
The bug in the plate will have a similar problem, but for a different reason. Since his rulers expand or contract depending on the direction of his motion, if going from hot to cold or from cold to hot, he will not be able to close the square. The point is to understand here that just by geometrical measurements, the second and the third bugs could quickly discover that there was something weird about their spaces. And this weirdness is related to the concept of curvature. A curved space is a space where its geometry is not what we expect it to be on a plane. The last 2 bugs experience geometries that are characteristic of curved spaces. In other words, the rulers of Euclidean geometry fail. And you don't need to be able to lift yourself out of the surface towards the third dimension in order to find out that the world that you live in is curved. You do not need to go around the globe in order to understand that you live on a ball. All you need to do is to try to draw a square. If the square is small, you'll need a lot of accuracy in order to notice that the process actually failed. But if the square is large enough, you can easily see that. Let's see the case of a triangle now. The bug on the sphere can construct a triangle that has 3 right angles. So weird. The bug can start at the North Pole and make a straight line all the way down to the equator. Then he turns 90 degrees and make another straight line with the same length. Then again. And there we go. A triangle with 3 right angles. Actually, all triangles he draws will have the sum of its angles greater than 180 degrees. If his buddy Euclidicus told him that it was supposed to add up to 180 degrees, he would probably laugh. And the bug on the plate would also laugh at this statement, but for a different reason. What about circles? How do the other bugs interpret circles in their spaces? The bug on the sphere makes a circle using the same procedure as we've seen before. After measuring the circumference, he finds out that it is less than 2 pi times r. For us, who are extremely privileged observers, it is obvious that a circle with this radius r would have a greater circumference in comparison to the one made by the poor two-dimensional bug. Actually, we know that what the bug calls radius is a curve that is longer than what we call radius. Now this bug talks to his friend, Euclidicus, who teaches him a cool way of predicting the radius of his circle by dividing the circumference c by 2 pi. Then, in order to check if Euclidicus was legit, the bug on the sphere decides to measure the radius by himself. He would find out that the measured radius was actually larger than the predicted one. This difference is what he called the excess radius. And he went on to win the Fields Medal for it. It turns out that the excess radius is related to the size of the circle. Meanwhile, the bug in the plate was feeling a little jealous. So he decided that he would pursue his own geometric postulates, because his space is way cooler anyway, relatively speaking. He drew a circle centered at the cold spot, and what he calls radius are actually curves for us. When he measures the circumference, he too finds out that the measured radius is longer than the predicted radius. In other words, c over 2 pi. He shouts, "Eureka!" and discovers what he calls the surplus radius. He tried to publish a paper about it, but someone already beat him to it. A curved space is one in which these kinds of errors occur. The sum of the angles of a triangle is different from 180 degrees. The circumference of a circle divided by 2 pi is not equal to the radius. And the rule for making a square does not produce a closed figure. You can think of others. Let us know in the comment section below your thoughts about it. We're curious to know about other ways of noticing curvature on a space without mentioning an external dimension.
These are just 2 examples of curved spaces. In the plate, if you choose the right temperature variation as a function of distance, so the right scalar field, then its geometry can be identical to the sphere. In other words, while being a bug living in such a space, you wouldn't be able to tell if you lived on a sphere or on a plate with different temperatures. Crazy, right? There are, of course, different kinds of geometry. What about a bug living on a pear? At some points, this space presents sharp curvatures. At others, it's almost flat. Triangles here would also have the sum of their angles greater than 180 degrees, no matter where you draw it. A question that may come to your mind is it possible to find a triangle in a space with the sum of its angles being less than 180 degrees? Yes, but not in the spaces we've seen so far. The sum of the angles of a triangle is greater than 180 degrees on a positively curved, closed surface, such as a sphere and a pear. Conversely, it is less than 180 degrees on a negatively curved, open surface, such as a hyperbolic plane. Imagine a saddle, for example. Now, draw a circle on the surface. This is called the locus of all points at the same distance from the center. Its circumference is actually larger than you would expect from calculating 2 pi times r. In this case, the predicted radius would be less than the measure radius. As a consequence, the excess radius would be negative. General relativity predicts 3 possible geometries for the universe, determined by the density parameter omega 0, which compares the actual density of the universe to a critical density. If omega 0 is greater than 1, the universe has positive curvature. This type of universe is finite and closed. So if you traveled far enough in one direction, you would eventually return to your starting point. Over time, the gravitational pull of matter would cause the expansion of such a universe to stop and reverse direction, which would lead to a catastrophic collapse known as the Big Crunch. On the other hand, if omega 0 equals to 1, the universe is flat with 0 curvature. And thus the familiar rules of Euclidean geometry can be used to study its structure on large scales. This flat universe would expand forever, but the rate of expansion would asymptotically approach 0 as gravitational forces gradually slow the outward motion. If omega 0 is less than 1, the universe has negative curvature and is infinite. In this case, the universe would also expand forever, but at an ever-increasing rate, because of the insufficient gravitational pull to counteract the initial expansion. Physicists are still uncertain about which model describes our cosmos. The problem is that it's really hard to precisely measure the density of matter and energy in the universe, especially dark energy, which is what drives the acceleration of the expansion.
Going back to our bugs, we notice that from the definition of curvature that we've seen so far, a cylinder is not curved. If a bug lives on a cylinder, then triangles, circles, and squares would all have the same behavior they have on a plane. I mean, all you need to do is unroll the cylinder onto a plane, and you will find that out. Therefore, there is no way for a bug living on a cylinder to discover that his space is not a plane, unless he goes all the way around it, because then he would notice that he came back to the starting point after moving on what he calls a straight line. So, in our technical sense, we consider that his space is not curved. What we're really talking about, though, is the concept of intrinsic curvature, which is crucial for the whole understanding of differential geometry, and as a consequence of general relativity. If you want to know more about it, check out the PDF link in the description below, and also you might want to watch this video right here.
This video was inspired by this book. Link in the description. If you like this video, I'm sure you're going to love this one. See you guys there.